Good morning. Welcome to the program agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and you are watching us via Signal TV channels 8 and 250, as well as on facebook.com/OneNewsPH. And you can also watch us via YouTube. Put in One News PH, and presto, you get to watch all the programs of One News PH, and particularly Agenda. In case you miss an episode in the morning, you can watch us on the afternoon 5 o'clock replay on channel 8 and 250. And if not, you can go to YouTube because we are most likely, not surely, but most likely, will still be there on YouTube. Welcome to the program. Thank you for all of you who are subscribers to Signal TV, and as well as those who are using PLDT home fiber optic internet. Okay, today is November 30, 2021. Okay, it is the second day of the national inoculation program against COVID-19. And sana naman po kung merong programa sa lugar ninyo, if there is a program in your vicinity, barangay, or the neighboring town or city, and you have not been vaccinated, please magpabakuna na po kayo. Kasi libre naman at para sa inyong kapakanan yan. It is for your benefit, for your safety. And like I have always said, I, my wife, my daughter, our family, we are all vaccinated. Okay? Hindi pa naman ako tinutubuan ng halo o sungay. Okay? So, some people, and I'm not speaking Chinese, although we used Sinovac. So, there's nothing wrong with it. Please go for it. Okay, it's a Tuesday. Let's get the day started with our chosen daily starter from Proverbs 24:19 to 20. Okay? Fret not yourself because of evildoers. Huwag kayong magugulod o mababahala dahil sa mga masasamang tao, and be not envious of the wicked. Huwag nyo silang kaiinggitan, yung mga masasama ang gawain. For the evil man has no future, walang kinabukasan, and the lamp of the wicked will be put out. Kumbaga, hindi nyo na sila kailangang ipagdasal na kunin na sila ni Lord. Kasi darating at darating ang panahon, pipigilan, the Lord will put an end to their wickedness or will call them to accounting. And I chose this for our daily starter because it seems that many Filipinos are now expressing dismay, discouragement, disappointment on how people who are selfish, greedy, or who are wicked or criminal in nature or who are corrupt seem to be succeeding, seem to be prospering, seem to be having things their way. And it reminds me of a personal situation where someone I know, actually a politician I knew in the past, who was bragging on me about his material acquisition, his properties, his fortune, etc. And I knew for a fact that he got it through corrupt practices. But huwag tayo maging judgmental, especially if we are trying to minister to such people. And for a moment, he even said, Sito, just partner with us, join us in our projects, and you can also have, similar good fortune. And sabi ko, wag na lang po kasi hindi ko naman linya yan, hindi ko kailangan yan. I will dig my own holes and I will plant my own vineyards, as they say. In any case, I went home and I said, paano ba yan, Lord? Sasabihin ko ba, will I say, good for them? Or buti pa sila? But, after many years, that politician lost it all. He eventually found himself facing many court cases, losing his honor or whatever honor or uh, kung ano pa bang mukha ang ipaharap niya, nawala po lahat. He lost everything. He had to sell everything because in the end, what was gained in darkness was lost in the light of justice. So do not be discouraged. Huwag kayong mawawalan ng paniniwala at pananampalataya kasi yung mga yan, may katapusan din yan. Sabi nga, better a morsel. Buti pa yung kapirasong tinapay. Buti pa yung nagkakaping barako lang tayo at nagpapandiko ko sa umaga, busog naman at nakangiti kesa sa bilyon-bilyon ang salapi. Titingin-tingin ka naman sa paligid kung meron ng nakatutok na baril sa ulo mo. Okay, so that's Proverbs 24:19-20. And when we read the news, you will also be reminded of that Proverbs. Let's go to the front page of the Philippine Star today, November 30. Isang tulog na lang. Pasko na. Official na. Okay. Alert level 2 remains in NCR, the National Capital Region, until December 15. According to the acting spokesperson in Malacanang, Carlo Nograles, the government has decided to keep things as is. Kumbaga, kung kayo ay nag-ROTC, PMT at ano pa, assure. Okay? Assure. Level 2 pa rin kayong mga tiga-NCR from December 1 to December 15, okay? And the president has given instructions to the IATF to study whether or not they should reimpose the use of face shields as a secondary preventive measure against COVID. Medyo, yan nga lang po, medyo my comment on that is let's concentrate on monitoring Omicron. Omicron kasi kung ano-ano na pong biglang pinagsasasabi ng ilang opisyal dyan, hindi pa nga nasisecure yung border, hindi pa nga na bibigay lahat yung mga alerts. Una nang sinabing ibalik ang plastic face shield. Ay, ginoo. Okay, so that's the front page headline. Let's go to the header of the Philippine Star. Vaccination of children ages 5 to 11 eyed in January. Salamat po na yung mga bata will be vaccinated starting January 2022. However, that is still dependent on whether or not, but will likely be the Food and Drug Administration issuing an emergency use authority for vaccination of children 5 to 11 years old. Okay. And Secretary Charlie Galvez also announced that they are confident that the booster shot or third dose for all of those who are scheduled, meaning senior citizens, those with comorbidity, A4, A5, etc., will all be done by December 31, 2021. Congratulations, Secretary Galvez. Okay, now further in the front page of the Philippine Star, that photo ng mga galit na galit no? Dadalawa tao sa litrato, tatlo bumabaril. Okay, no. Yun po ay thermal gun. Thermal guns used to measure the temperature of people, and these are individuals applying for the civil service exams in Yantai, Shandong Province, China. Kasi sa kanila, tuloy ang hanap buhay, magpa-test or mag-exam muna bago kayo makapasok. Kasi mukhang doon sa China, like in the Philippines, the biggest employer is the national government or the provincial government, as the case may be. Okay, let's go on to the front page. Hong Kong is still out of the red list. Medyo ito po, may kasamang katatawanan dito because, China, Hong Kong, it's a communist country. Their favorite color is red. But as far as the Philippine government is concerned, Hong Kong, the autonomous region of Hong Kong in China, is not included among the list of countries or red list countries as far as the Philippines is concerned concerning Omicron, okay, yung new variant. Because as far as the Philippines is concerned, there is no report, wala pang nahahanap, nadidinig o nadidiscover na local transmission nitong Omicron virus. In other words, the 1 or 2 cases in Hong Kong were tracked in the quarantine hotels where arrivals are kept. Okay, so hindi ito kumbaga gumagala sa lipunan sa Hong Kong. So, the Philippines said, hindi pa sila kasali. Of course, some people say, sige na, ayaw naman ninyong awayin ng Hong Kong kahit na tayo inaaway ng Chinese Coast Guard. Okay, and the tally of new COVID cases in the Philippines, thank you, Lord, okay, is down to 665 nationwide as of yesterday, November 29, okay? And the number of deaths, mataas pa rin po, triple digit pa rin po, 141. And I would be as bold enough to say, chances are a number of these are probably unvaccinated. So magpabakuna na po kayo. Mahal din magpalibing ngayon, babayaran pa yung utang sa hospital at doktor. Okay, back to the front page. And binobola. Okay, Omicron poses very high global risk, says the World Health Organization, because of its 22 ba yun? O 32 mutations, new mutations in its composition. The World Health Organization views the Omicron variant of COVID-19 as a potential high risk or a global risk. Kasi po, hindi talagang masabi pa because it's only been a few days. It was announced Saturday, discovered probably or officially announced by South Africa sometime Friday. So it's been less than 5 days. And it is hard to determine exactly what the world is dealing with. But what they do know is that Omicron has a mutation higher than Delta variant. So they suspect that because of this pagbabago, these new developments in the variant, chances are that it will be a stronger, more transmissible variant, and they will find out within this week if this Omicron variant can resist the vaccines or not, because 2 companies have already tested the Omicron virus on their current forms of vaccines. Okay. Now we go to that photo of the field of the president in Masinag. I believe he's in that was in SM Masinag Mall, okay, in Antipolo City, where the president went to observe the ongoing 3-day national vaccination program. Nakikipagtsikahan si Presidente doon sa ilang mga taong nagpapabakuna. Okay. And connected to that incident, the story below that picture, the president indicated that he is open to making vaccination mandatory. Ayan na po, no? Because of the threat that is posed by Omicron variant, the president is quoted as saying, I may agree with the task force if they decide to make it mandatory. It is for public health. Now, if you are not in favor of it, then don't go out. Ayan na po, no? No offense to those who are skeptical or refuse to be vaccinated. Eh di ganun na lang, kung ayaw niyong magpabakuna, di no going out. 'Di ba? Kasi alam niyo po, marami rin talagang mga taong, basta ayoko. Hindi, kasi mahirap yan. Puro haka-haka ang batayan ng kanilang desisyon. How can millions upon millions of people or billions around the world, hindi lang sa Pilipinas, kasi sa Pilipinas, millions, but around the world, billions of people have been vaccinated and we have not heard of anything ominous or disastrous. So, ayan po, yes, Mr. President, pull the trigger, make it mandatory. Okay, so now let's go on the bottom of the Philippine Star. Formerly executives Ong, okay, and Dargani transferred to Pasay City Jail, okay? Yan po yung sinasabi ko kanina doon sa ating daily starter, that you can be flying high in business, you can be making millions, billions of pesos in profit, particularly in this deal. But one day when the heavens decide your time is up, you go to jail. Parang monopoly. Ito, yung ano ba ito, Mr. Mohit Dargani and Lincoln Ong, because they defied the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee that required them to submit financial statements. Ayan, now they will experience what it's like to go to jail. Baga holistic na yung kanilang experience from millionaires riding in luxury cars. They will now be sleeping on the cold concrete floor of the Pasay City Jail. Temporary lang naman hanggang mag-cooperate sila. Okay, now, modified coding starts this week, okay? Ito po yung matagal nang inaabangan. People have been expecting, pleading, or been fearing. But now the MMDA has announced a modified vehicle coding starts this week, okay? But it will only be for rush hours, okay? It will only be from what I understand, 5 p.m. yung rush hour, okay, up to 8 p.m. Para lang hindi magsabay-sabay ang tao at makauwi pa rin kayo, okay? And that was the subject of our lunch conversation yesterday, where we said if you want to avoid the traffic in Metro Manila, edi stay home or stay in the office, do work. In fact, that is what some offices should do. Break down your schedule. Some work from home, some work at the office, some work in the morning, some work in the evening. O di nagtulong-tulong tayo mabawasan yung traffic and amount of exposure. Last but not the least, photo on the bottom of the Philippine Star. McDonald's Philippines celebrates the most wonderful time of the year with a spectacular ride-through Christmas light show at three of its branches, namely McKinley West, Alabang West, and Savannah Park in Bulacan yesterday. Eh, ano yung ride-through na yan? You will actually, ano ba yan? Mukhang drive-through eh. Parang drive-through. Parang yung order ka. Ayun, nakikita ko, drive-through eh. Okay, so ayan, medyo may mga ilaw-ilaw habang nagda-drive-through ka, umo-order ka ng Big Mac, quarter pounder at saka meron pa sila nung isda, fish fillet. Okay, so let's now go to the main program of agenda, our interviews, and for the first part, let's make kamusta. Let's check in on the Bureau of Immigration with our favorite spokesperson, Dana Sandoval or Dana Sandoval. Good morning, Dana. Aba, naka-uniform si ma'am.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, sir. Good
Good
morning to
morning.
everyone.
Judging from you being on uniform, I suppose you are all battle ready to meet the hundreds ba o thousands of Filipinos coming back, plus the unfortunate potential of or threat of Omicron. What's the situation, Dana?
Actually, sir, we were already getting ready for the entry of tourists supposedly coming this December, but because of the this new variant, the IATF has decided to temporarily suspend the entry of tourists. So, well warranted, since it's really needed.
Mhm.
We're already uh, we've already put our men in place for the holiday season. We're expecting the numbers to be a bit higher this year. For last year, we just had, I think, around 153,000 arrivals for the entire December. That's for the entire December already.
Mhm.
So the numbers were really dismal last year. But for this year, we're hoping to have a bit more, a little bit more, since the Balikbayan and the OFWs are expected to come for this month.
Okay, now the announcements have all been very clear about which countries are on the red list, particularly those in South Africa and the region, and some other countries that have reported local cases of Omicron. Now, how does the Bureau of Immigration determine that a person in front of them did not go via the long route, ika nga? Kasi I know of one particular case this year, wala naman silang criminal intent or anything, but just to be able to get home, they literally had to hop from one country to the other trying to get flights and connections. And sabi ko, mukhang po pwede yun. Mukhang from a red list country, baka makatakas sila through the back door of that country and then make it to a green country and make it to the Philippines. How does the Bureau of Immigration avoid that kind of subterfuge or, backdoor strategy?
Well, Sir Chico, we look at the travel history of the arriving passengers. So for all arriving passengers, we do 100% passport inspection, looking at the travel history for the last 14 days. So from there, we check if they have been to a red list country, dun sa mga travel restricted country, and if he or she is a foreign national, immediately excluded yan, hindi pa papasukin ng Philippines. If the person is Filipino, they will be referred to the Bureau of Quarantine for strict implementation of the 14-day quarantine.
Mhm. What about Filipinos who, kasi ito, I know this of one case, Filipina siya, or well, nag-migrate siya sa abroad, Canada yata yun, and then nakalimutan niyang i-renew yung passport, Philippine passport niya. So, came back to the Philippines using a Canadian passport. Paano ba yun? This was before Omicron, ano? Paano ba yung ganong scenario where you're, you are actually Filipino, dual citizen, kanya lang hindi mo na-renew yung Philippine passport. How do you make the determination at the BI?
So Shito, pag sa arrival natin, we look at the documents that are being presented. So to be seen to present themselves as a Filipino, they have to show sufficient proof that Filipino siya. So it's either a Philippine passport, pero pwede naman that they don't have the Philippine passport, but they have the certificate. Because if they reacquire their citizenship, they get a certificate, so they can bring that and they can show that to the immigration officers. In any case po, halimbawa, this person does not have dual citizenship, they don't have the documentation for that, they are just a former Filipino, they can still enter the country if not coming from the red list countries. Kasi balikbayan, Sir Chito, are allowed to
Mhm.
enter dito sa ating current travel restriction. So the balikbayan is the former Filipino, and then the spouse and the children who are traveling with them. So the entire family, if they all come here together, as long as they are not coming from red list countries, they are allowed entry, visa free, and they get 1 year stay here in the country.
Yun, inuulit po natin mga kaibigan, no visa required for balikbayan, authentic Filipinos, and they are allowed to stay for 1 year, including their family. Okay. Now, regarding this Hong Kong issue, ayoko naman, hindi naman ako namumulitika, kanya lang, it was written in the papers, we have thousands lang ba? Thousands lang ba ang Filipino sa Hong Kong? Palagay ko parang million na between Singapore and Hong Kong. What happens to this? Because they're still allowed to come home on Christmas, right?
Yes po, especially the Filipino. So wala pa tayong ini-implement the travel restriction for Hong Kong. But we're on standby in case the IATF, I believe the IATF has been discussing whether to include this or not in our travel restricted countries. So we're on standby just in case the IATF has decided to include this in the red list country. And we are ready naman po, just kung sakali that they have decided to include Hong Kong.
When you say you are ready, what exactly is required in terms of logistics and personnel when dealing with the uh, Hong Kong Filipino traffic? Kasi pag pumunta ako noon sa Hong Kong, maglakad ka lang sa sidewalk pag Sabado-Linggo, akala mo nasa Divisoria ka na, talagang punong-puno ng Pilipino. How ready is ready, Dana?
Well, generally speaking, kasi we added manpower for the holiday season. First is we temporarily banned the filing of vacation leaves for frontline personnel at our airports. And then we also added new immigration officers. So that's 99 immigration officers that were deployed in the airport to augment the manpower, getting ready for the possible influx of vacationers, Filipinos, balikbayans for the holiday season, as well as probably the added travel restrictions because it takes more scrutiny when you're coming from a travel restricted country. So the processing takes a little bit longer because we have to make sure that the travel history of the person. We also deployed a rapid response team. So these are the immigration officers that are deployed in offices and for administrative work. So they're also on
Mhm.
standby just in case that we need add more manpower for this coming holiday season.
Okay, now what are the concerns of the BI right now? Kasi what happens pag biglang sinabi ng IATF, oh sorry, they already have a case in Hong Kong, shut the gate. How does that mess things up for the BI and for the NAIA and for all our borders?
Siguro we can say that we can do it by this time because since last year we have been implementing country-specific travel restrictions, so we already know how things work, and we already have all the necessary, kumbaga, standard operating procedures in place.
Mm.
So by this time, it would be well, not easy, siguro naman, but it would be workable for all of us if the IATF decides to include countries in the red list.
Okay, do we have a situation where, because like in Holland or in the Netherlands, I mean, magagalit sa akin yung mga tiga Netherlands. Holland ako ng Holland, old school eh. Yeah, in the Netherlands, the situation was there were two planes that were in transit when the declaration was made. So parang when they landed, they were in La La Land, so to speak. Did we ever have that with the red list country in the last 2 days?
So far wala naman po because it was announced I think 2 days before the actual implementation. So for those who were in transit, they were allowed, but I don't think there were any who were in transit already. But
Mhm.
they may be allowed in the country if they were part of the allowable classes, but they would be subjected to the 14-day quarantine. So after the cutoff, which was November 28, dun na nagsa-start yung implementation of the red list.
Okay, now last question, Dana. What protocols, ano ba yung physical setup ninyo sa BI that ensures that, because everyone's required to turn over a passport, and parang sabi ko, paano yan? Ang dami mong hinahawakan. I remember in the US Embassy, ladies and gentlemen, I remember when I was applying for a visa, and one of the ladies in the counter said, could you please tell them to wipe their passports and their documents kasi puro raw pawisan sa nervyos yung mga nag-a-apply. Yung mga passport basa. And now in the time of COVID, what measures is the BI doing to prevent any such medical problems or health risks?
To be honest, during my time at the airport, ganun talaga. They give you um, dirty passports. Kakaiba yung smell of the passport. So it was really funny and but now, lalo na at the time of COVID, so we really need to take measures. So we ensure that our personnel are fully equipped with the necessary PPEs so they can be protected. So they are wearing gloves, they have their face masks, all the required materials. They have sanitation stations there, and they constantly sanitize the area to make sure that they are the risk remains minimal. And then also for the immigration area, there are markers where the traveling public could stand, so we can ensure strict social distancing. And we try to make things as smooth as we can, processing as smooth as we can, so the it would be faster for everyone, and there would be less time for them being exposed in the area.
Meron na ba kayong UV boxes, UV light boxes for the passport to be placed in, just so disinfect the passport before the BI officer pulls it up? Para sa bangko ba, 'di ba? Sa bangko may gano'n eh. Bini
For
yeah.
for our offices nationwide, we do have those UV boxes. But for the airports, kasi since the standard processing time worldwide is just 45 seconds. So hindi enough yung UV na 45 seconds for them.
Okay.
Yes. So, but what they do is they protect themselves, the officers, and then they sanitize the area and they use gloves na lang po.
Suggestion, maglagay kayo ng UV box para dun sa mga nasa pila pa lang, 'di ba? Para pagdating sa inyo. No, because I am concerned for your personnel, for your fellow officers, because at the end of the day, you are there to serve and not to be on the firing line. Anyway, thank you very much, Dana. And oh, by the way, there's a request here for clarification. Are there any new countries in the red list as of this morning?
Just the 14 countries, sir. So yun pa din yung bago natin. We have yet to receive information from the IATF if there are any to be
Mhm.
added. So 14 countries as of now po.
Okay, thank you very much, Dana Sandoval, Bureau of Immigration spokesperson. Have a good day. Stay healthy and stay safe, please.
Thank you. Good morning and stay safe po. Ingat po.
Okay. And now we go for a quick break. And when we return, iba naman ang pag-uusapan. We will speak to a person who is in the middle of all this agriculture issue on pork and feeds, because umaangal po. Yesterday, someone had come to me again saying, Sir, I just heard that the cost of feeds are shooting up because the materials are all imported. And as you know, last week we read the article where there is now a discussion on whether or not the cost of pork for the Christmas season is going to be sky high, and who's making the money. Okay, let's go for a break. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Okay, welcome back to the program Agenda. I'm your host, Sito Beltran, and you are watching us via Signal TV channels 8 and 250. We shift gears, change topics, because many of you are already beginning to shift to Christmas celebration mode. In fact, there are more news items regarding Noche Buena, etc. But in the meantime, there are people who are seriously concerned about the state of agriculture, particularly in the hog and poultry sector. On a consumer side, people are worried that the prices of pork and chicken are going to go up. For the producer side, there is serious concern on the increasing cost of feeds. And for the feed millers, the worry is where to get the raw materials, because it seems that in the Philippines we continue to lack the or go under the the required demand for production of corn, etc., etc. So let's speak with a real expert on the matter, someone who is not just concerned about raising pigs, he is concerned over all the aspects of these industries, both hog and poultry. Let's bring in the president of the National Federation of Hog Farmers, an actual business owner of two farms in southern Mindanao and northern Luzon, also corporate secretary and executive vice chairman of Mindanao Pork Producer Federation of the Philippines. We have with us, joining us this morning, Chester Tan. Chester, good morning
Yes.
to you.
Good
Good
morning,
morning.
Kasito. Yasito.
Okay. Mukhang mataas ang echo nung
Yeah.
karaoke mo, my friend. Anyway, Chester, yesterday and the week before, may mga
Yes.
lumalapit na sa akin expressing serious concern on two aspects. They said na, sir, you better look into the probability, hindi possibility, na ang presyo ng baboy at manok ay sisipa. And the other serious concern is the accessibility of raw materials and high prices of feeds. What is the situation? What are the challenges faced by first owners such as you and your federation?
Yeah. Good morning again, no, Kasito. Regarding the prices of pork and chicken, we already have a talk with all our members that as much as possible, no, we want to maintain uh, the price, no, for this upcoming season. Of course, ano naman, it is normal on this season, especially itong Christmas, na may konting increase ng presyo. But we are trying to minimize the increase para naman po ma-enjoy ng ating consumer. And for regarding po dun sa mga sa ating feeds, of course we tumaas na po ng 30% to 40% yung ating prices ng feeds. So what we are doing right now is we try to reformulate yung feeds para po hindi po masyadong tumaas but maintaining the quality. So that's what we are doing with the feed millers and the nutritionists we have. So ginagawan po natin ng paraan para po hindi po masyadong maapektuhan yung ating consumer because everything po na add-on sa ating inputs, it will be added add-on price doon sa ating consumer. So para makatulong po tayo, yun po yung mga ginagawa nating paraan, adjustment.
Okay. Yung feeds, no, 30 to 40% increase. And kahapon, nagdebate kami regarding that with some of my guests because some people are wondering, why do we have to rely on importation daw? Lagi na lang daw imported, dependent on imports of feed materials, as well as the issue of importation of hogs. So pag-usapan muna natin yung feeds, and then pag-usapan nga natin yung importation of pork and how it affects the local manufacturer. Yung sa importation of feed materials, ang laki-laki, ang lawak-lawak. The Philippines is so wide. Why are we not able to produce our own grains for hog and poultry?
As of now, Kasito, no, the main problem is the one item yung macro ingredients is the soybean meal.
Mhm.
So, yung soybean meal po kasi ini-import po natin yan ever since. So I think for the past years we have been trying to plant, no. Pero I think the recovery ata hindi ganun kaganda. But sana nga ito nga yung dapat pag-aralan ng ating Department of Agriculture on how can we plant and harvest ng soybean meal para hindi po tayo umasa. But right now po, talaga pong halos almost 100% po ng soybean meal ay inaangkat po natin at nagka-problema po doon sa port of US. So, yung mga importer po natin, nakausap natin, what are the precautionary measures para hindi po maulit kasi siguro this is the first time po kasi ito na nangyari in the history na nagkaroon ng not because of the shortage. Hindi po makarating dito yung ating soybean meal dahil po nagkaroon ng problem doon sa port, sa loading port, hindi makarating dito. So right now, what are they doing? The importers, we talk to the group of importers na they learn a lesson na dapat pala po we will not wag po tayo umasa sa isang source lang doon sa
Mhm.
US. We have to go to Argentina, to Belgium, to other para kung nagka-problema yung isang lugar, meron pa tayong mapagkukunan. So hindi po aakyat yung presyo ng isang raw materials ng I think 100% po ito po yung 100% po in-increase ng presyo, more than 100% na as of today
Because of the
per
cost
kilo.
of shipping.
Number one is the cost of shipping, pero ang main reason po is nagka-prone po ng problema dun sa loading port ng US. And then,
Mhm.
nagkaroon ng diversion. Yung ating pag-ship papunta dito, nagkaroon ng mga delay. So, it added cost rin. Kasi doble, na-delay na, plus mahal pa yung shipping cost, yung transport cost. Of course, because of the fuel increase. So, lahat po yan nagsama-sama po kasito, very yung timing nga po hindi po ganun hindi po maganda dahil nagsama-sama po lahat ng negative. But
Okay,
still we are
yeah.
hoping for this.
Why are we dependent on soybean meal? Kasi, pasensya ka na, Chester,
Yeah.
nung kabataan ko, pag kami nag-aalaga ng baboy, and until recently, bago ako tinamaan ng ASF at nag-hands up ako, sinasabi ko naman talaga na, Bob, ang foundation ng pagkain sa baboy in the past was corn. Now, there
Right.
are other materials in the Philippines, and wala bang investment ang Pilipinas in terms of developing various grains and producing those? Kasi parang ang lagi ko na lang nadidinig, the corn of Cagayan, the corn of Mindanao, etc. Wala ba tayo? Tsaka puro private yata ang mga nagpapatanim nitong mga
Opo.
mais na ito. Wala ba tayong government-assisted, managed program for development of grains para ang ating pakain sa mga hayop ay mura, and subsequently yung product natin, yung mga baboy for instance at manok, ay mura ring nabebenta?
Yeah, I think right now, kasi ito it's ano 'no, yung intervention po, to be in fairness naman po, merong intervention but, it is not enough 'no, yung intervention ng ating government, para ma-encourage pa po yung mga farmer to plant. Especially tama nga po kasi ito, why are we ano very dependent 'no on that, imported, macro materials 'no, like
Hmm.
soybean meal or wheat. Eh, puwede naman tayong magtanim ng mas maraming mais, siguro meron pa tayong isang option, yung cassava. But, mas important po kasi dito sa ating ano, poultry and, swine, yung po ating feeds, eh, ang titingnan po kasi nila yung, source of protein. So tama po, hindi lang naman, soybean meal ang may source of protein, merong corn, meron pa pong iba. So
Yung munggo.
we have to develop po yung source of protein para po in case na mawalan tayo ng imported product, we can still survive. But that's what we are doing right now together with the feed millers and the nutritionists. No, may isang association ng nutritionists dito sa Philippines for the
But all
livestock.
private sector, Chester.
Yeah, yeah. These are all private sector driven kasi wala pong ibang tutulong sa atin kundi tayo po mga private sector. Itong naging problem natin ngayon.
Okay, speaking of the private sector and problems, balita ko problema raw yung imported na baboy because according to the data gathered by Team Agenda, the Bureau of Customs said that the government lost 3.4 billion pesos revenue due to the reduction of pork tariffs from April 7 to November 12, because before the government would put a tax on imported pork. Binabaan yung tax na yun or yung tariff. However, the Bureau of Customs added it had collected 3 billion in revenues from 197,000 metric tons of pork imports during the same period. In other words, nalugi sila ng 400 million, kumita naman sila ng 3 billion, nabawi nila 3 billion dahil sa mga imports. Now, the question is, how does 3 billion pesos or well, hindi yung peso, yung how does 197,000 metric tons of imported pork affect local producers?
Yeah, it really affect kasi ito kasi I don't think it's only 197 metric tons. I think more than that po yung pumasok po dito sa atin this year. But anyway, if the Department of Agriculture claim that it's only 197, doon po ma-justify na nila yung gusto po nilang mangyari na 400 thousand metric tons ang initial na gusto nilang paratingin, at tayo naman mga private, we are telling them na nasa 100 to 150,000 metric tons lang po yung kakulangan. So it just shows no na itong pinasok nila sobra-sobra sa ngayon. And
Mhm.
yung losses po kasi ito, I think hindi po na 100 million plus lang yung parang losses natin. Yung talagang losses natin as we compute before, parang umabot ng 7 billion ang private sector. But anyway, sa computation nila is 3.4 billion yung nawala. Tama po yun kasi from 40% po naging 10% lang yung taripa. Eh yung 30% po naging yung 40 naging 20, kalahati na lang yung nakukuha nating taripa, and yung 30% po naging 10% lang. So malaki po talaga yung nawala natin dito. But we before when the our intern to our DA or our sa ating executive branch, no, yung Malacanang, that time based on their economies na at least makakatulong daw yan pagbaba ng taripa sa ating mga consumer. But later on we found out lalo ngayon pinag-aralan nila na parang nagkamali pala po Kasito doon sa naging desisyon kasi po doon po sa tatlo tayo po producer definitely we did not benefit from it, no.
Mhm.
Nagkaroon tayo ng ilang one quarter, two quarters na nalugi this year. Number two, yung pong government natin nawala po ilang bilyon na kanilang collection. So hindi pa rin naka-benefit. Pinaka-importante po yung sinasabi na consumer na makapag-benefit wala. So lahat po 'yan walang nag-benefit. So sayang yung ating collection na nawala na more than 3 yung sinasabi
May nag-benefit, Chester. Diyan ka
ah,
mali. Nag-benefit yung nag-i-import ng baboy
yes,
from all
yeah,
over the world. Tayo
tama
ang
po.
lugi, lugi yung mamimili,
Yes,
lugi yung gobyerno, lugi yung producer, pero
yeah,
kumita yung importer. Okay, let's
up,
go for a quick break and let's talk about that because Stella Kimbo, Congresswoman Stella Kimbo,
yeah.
galit daw dyan sa ginawang EO na yan because in the last 6 months, the prices of pork has not gone down. And from the looks of it, it will even go up during Christmas. Tapos ang sisisihin kayo, Chester.
Ah.
We will go for a quick break. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Welcome back to the last few minutes of Agenda. It's 8:51 and joining us is the president of the National Federation of Hog Farmers, Chester Tan. Chester, okay, si Stella Kimbo, the deputy minority leader in Congress, is already criticizing this and saying that in the last 6 months, hindi bumaba ang presyo ng baboy. Now, what is the situation of pork? Do we have enough pork in the Philippines? Do we have too much pork? Why are the prices not going down?
Yes, we agree, no, with Honorable Stella Kimbo. Maganda, tama po yung observation niya na in spite of all this intervention by our government, wala pa rin pong pagbabago. So what we have to do is kasi we have a lot of surplus in Visayas, Mindanao. Yun po yung sinasabi namin dati pa. Sana po matulungan tayo ng ating Department of Agriculture on how to bring in those surplus hogs from Visayas and Mindanao and other parts of Luzon, kasi ang isa pong diyan doon sa cost is yung transport cost po. Kung sana po yun matanggal po yun o masubsidize o meron tayong vessel from our government, that will definitely bring down the price. It's not yung maraming stock o wala. May available po tayo na pork. Yun lang po yung sa costing ng transport po talaga. Yun ang isang reason. Of course, itong feeds po recently lang po to. So
Mhm.
dagdag pa po to sa pasanin kasi ito.
Maraming stock sa Visayas, Mindanao because maraming farms sa Luzon ay below capacity na or
Yes
hindi
po.
na nagbalik sa kanilang businesses because of ASF. But so si low ang supply sa Luzon, high ang supply sa Visayas,
Yes.
Mindanao,
Yes
pero
po.
ang cost naman to transport is high. So
Yes.
talo pa rin ang consumers ng Luzon and Metro Manila. Now,
Yes.
the question is, di sasahod tiba-tiba na naman ang importer ng baboy. Ano ba ito? Parang sinadya na 'to, ah.
Yeah, because ano kasi ito, no, that's why ang purpose ng ating government to help our consumer to bring in import, yun talaga yung plano nila because they know the imported are they only cost above a little above 100 pesos per kilo arrival.
Hmm.
So we also wondering bakit po hindi bumaba yung presyo ng ating imported. So but it's beyond our kasi ito kasi tayo naman po we give more focus to our local produce on how can we compete with the imported products. So yan po yung tinanong din ng ating Senate and House of Representative, no, na sa DA, na how come ganun pa rin in spite of we approve all the yung EO 133, EO 128, all of that, pero wala pa rin pong nangyaring maganda. Meron po temporarily 1 week or 2 weeks, pero after that back to normal naman po. So medyo merong mali po dun sa recommendation ng ating Department of Agriculture.
Okay, so ano ang magiging situation for, well, let's start with Christmas dahil parating na, bukas December 1 na.
Yeah.
You were saying that it cannot be avoided that there will be an increase in prices. But paano nangyayari ngayon? Mag-i-increase ang presyo because of market demand or because of a shortage?
Kasi ito, it is because of the demand, no, we have
Mhm.
normally on this Christmas season. And of course yung delay nung mga alam naman po natin yung ating mga terminal and port, medyo traffic diyan, so yung cost ng delay it will add on again to the prices. So but we assure naman, no, na it will not be, hindi po siya babalik nung nangyari sa atin early this year na umabot naman ng 450 ata yung
Mm.
wet market or
Anong forecast mo sa wet market pricing for
yeah,
Christmas, Chester?
yeah, we are trying our best to, of course, no, to maintain our prices. Yung live weight price, for example, here sa Luzon, ang live weight price, maintain it to 200 to 220 only. Wag na natin paabutin ng 250 or 260 para po ang po diyan, pagpunta sa wet market, I think mga nasa 340, 360 sa wet market. Of course, different story po doon sa mga sa mga grocery supermarket na nasa mall natin. I think they have a higher price. So we are hoping to maintain this, no, para naman yung consumer natin medyo maging masaya naman yung pagiging sa Christmas nila, unlike
What
our
no, what
perspective
is the
before.
future of hog raising and poultry in the Philippines if we are so dependent on imported feeds? We have not managed to control ASF, etc. Marami na bang nalagas or have closed their farms, and will it still be a viable industry, or will we eventually become so import dependent?
Yeah, kasi ito with this no, mga guidelines that our government is showing us, of course, no, this will not uplift or hindi po 'to magbibigay ng engganyo sa ating mga poultry swine sector. But of course we want to take it our group naman, tayong lahat, we want to take this as a challenge, no. In spite of this, papakita natin na the industry, the pork or the poultry industry is here to stay in the Philippines. Kasi po, pag umalis po tayo, we will be definitely import dependent on these coming years. So tama po, abante tayo ng isang hakbang, atras ng dalawa, but we will try our best na to stay. But we are doing naman all the adjustment para naman po hindi tayo maging dependent hindi lang sa meat, no, kundi dito nga sa raw materials like soybean meal. We are
Okay.
adjusting na po. We learn our lesson this time.
Okay. Well, Chester, thank you very much for your
Yeah.
time this morning. Alam kong bigla-bigla ang tawag namin
No,
sa'yo,
no
but
problem po, Kasito.
we really wanted to touch on this. Have a good day and more power to you.
Thank you, Kasito. More power
Okay.
po. God bless.
That's Mr. Chester Tan, National Federation of Hog Farmers President. And I leave you with our blessing for the week. God is able to bless you abundantly so that in all things, at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work. Be blessed and please keep watching Agenda and keep it here on One News PH. Have a good day. God bless you all.